Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Thursday, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. Got a word for you. Tap in. Happy Thursday, guys. Before I jump in, I want to just answer you guys really quickly, those who've been asking about Mr. Steve. So I told you guys when the assignment was up for me a few months ago, there was a Christian group, and it's just gentleman who came in, and he pretty much just took over the assignment, and he's been providing Steve hotel since then. It's not the same hotel, it's a different hotel, but so the Christian group has been paying for his hotel, and so I actually chatted with him this morning to check on Steve. He said potentially this coming weekend, Steve will be going to a nursing home if there are available beds, because his health is starting to kind of like, become an issue, whatever, being in the hotel room. But ultimately, he's good ultimately. So I will definitely let him know that you guys have been asking about him when I see him or when I go to visit. All right, so let's jump right on in. All right, so I had a young lady who emailed me in regards to, she's waiting on some things. God has given her some promises, but she often hears me say things like, there's a God part and then there's our part. And she just feels like, well, I don't know what my part is. I don't understand what it is I could be doing. God just gave me the promise, but what am I supposed to be doing? All right, so sis, it just all depends, right? But I do believe there's a spiritual part and then there's a fleshly part. If God is requiring you to move in the flesh, and many times you're going to be required to move in the flesh, right? Faith without works is dead. All right, so let's just, I don't know, let's talk about, you also said you love when I give examples. You're one of the ones who love when I give examples. So let's just take two things off the top of my head. Okay, you're waiting on a house. Let it be you're just ready to purchase a house, or maybe God give you a download. It may not even have been a thing for you, but God gave you a download because God knows in the future, in this crazy world, he's probably going to send some people to you. He needs you to have land. He needs you to have space because you may be required to help a lot of people when things get crazy. All right. But whichever way, let it be you're just ready or God gave you the download. So the spiritual part of that is faith, right? You got to lock in on that thing. Me personally, I think the reason why I've been able to allow God to manifest things in my life is because, again, when I see it, being the visionary I am, I lock in on it. Anybody who knows you will tell me, anybody who knows me will tell you that once I see something or hear something, nobody can shift my mind on that. I don't care what they say, what they do. And then after the fact, it's like, oh my goodness, yes, because I got the download from God and I'm tunnel vision on that thing. I don't care how hard it is. I'm not moving from it until God allows it to manifest. So that faith part has to be solid. And again, we're human. So there are going to be times during that journey where you question yourself, where you just but the point is you catch it and you get back to it. So that's the spiritual side, as well as fasting, right? If that's what God is calling you to do. Remember, God is going to give you your downloads. You just have to ask. You have to be still enough and long enough. That's my struggle sometimes. Long enough to really hear the downloads. He will tell you what to do. And it's important to do it because what I've learned is he can tell you to do it. If you don't do it, I don't care how long you're waiting, certain doors are not going to open because you have to be obedient, because whatever he's asking you to do, it is setting the foundation for what's coming. So we have a part to play. All right, so that's faith, that's fasting, that's reading your word, if that's what you do, that's connecting to nature. However you hear from God spiritually, that's your spiritual part. He may even come give you a download spiritually and say, hey, I need you to pray specifically for someone. I need you to pray specifically against something that is a demon that person could be fighting, right? So he will tell you how to fight in the spiritual realm. He will tell you to shut your mouth and don't speak on this at all. Don't tell one person this. So there's a spiritual part. On the fleshly side of things, right? You happen to buy this house. Well, maybe you came from a family who never even spoke about the importance of finances and such and such. So now God may require you to take certain courses. Maybe you have to take a credit course. Even if you don't have money, he may send you to YouTube University, right? So he's going to require you to do researches. He's going to require you to understand credit. So these are going to be the physical things that you have to do. All right. So now when you've gotten your credit up, he's going to now require you to save money. That's another physical part, right? You're going to have to start having a budget, because now you know God has given you a promise. You know God said this thing is yours, right? You got your faith game up, but now you're still slipping on your money, because now you're getting your nails done every 2 weeks versus now it might be once a month. And listen, you got to do what you got to do, right? Okay. Once a month. So now you can save and save and save and save and save towards the down payment on your home, blase, blase. That's your physical side. Now, when you go to get this home, you may have your hopes up with one or two, and now you keep getting rejected for whatever reason, and now you're getting disappointed because you feel like, well, wait a minute now, God, you came to me and said that you had a house for me, so why am I getting rejected? This is the second time, the third time, the fourth time. Well, God never specifically told you exactly which house. This is where we slip at, because when God gives us a promise, we think it's going to happen exactly the way we envision it. He just said he'll give you a house. He never told you it's going to be the first house you see. He never told you that you won't be rejected. He won't tell you that your offer will not be accepted for that particular house. He just said he'll give you a house. So if you're not careful, you'll get so frustrated and so overwhelmed and so full of despair that you will just walk away and be like, well, that was never God. And the whole time, that's only because you envision the certain house. You envision it. Well, he may have a certain house specifically that's going to have a specific something, specific land or whatever, because again, he knows what he's going to send to you in the future. So it's really designed based on what he knows is coming. The house you're looking at may be a house to get robbed 1 week later and you're in there, so he's saving you. So the whole key is to, when you start getting shut down like that, that doesn't happen to me often, but it has. It has when you're constantly getting rejected by something that you know God has promised you. When you just pull back, because sometimes we just get too involved. If you just pull back and just sit, he'll come back to you and he'll tell you exactly why those ones didn't work out. Most times it's because, honestly, he got something better. Right. Most times it's because you're looking at it from your eyes, which of course he wants you to get what you want too. But there's a bigger picture in the particular house that he wants you to have, or he potentially could be saving you from something that you don't even see coming. So those are things that you may be required to do in the physical realm. Again, he will tell you exactly what to do. But if you got to go to 25 different houses and get turned down just for the 26th one to be 26th offer to be accepted, then you need to be doing that in the physical. That means knocking on these doors. That means going to all these meetings, looking at all these homes, right? That's physical right there. Looking at all these homes, like all that stuff you have to do. And then one day, boom. And then when you get to that one house, you're going to be so happy that you did not accept or that you got rejected, I should say, on the other houses. So that's physical things. All right, marriage or kingdom partners or whatever. Okay, if you're waiting on that, okay, of course, again, spiritual is hope, faith, things like that. Same thing, as I said earlier, fasting, praying for, praying against, praying to remove counterfeits, praying to make room to be able to enter all that stuff, right? On the physical, have you ever even seen a happy marriage? Okay, you're asking God for the marriage, or God have promised you a kingdom partnership because he know that he needs you and your partner to kind of put the visions together and take over the world. But have you ever even seen a healthy marriage? So if you haven't, then maybe take counseling, even by yourself. Take counseling, therapy, even by yourself before it even manifests, right? Work on you, right? Are you confident? Is your confidence solid? Again, that doesn't mean like you're just walking around feeling like a perfect person. No, just solid, meaning certain things are not going to shake you, meaning you're not going to be causing issues in the marriage because you have jealousy tendencies, and you have some maybe some insecurities. Okay, so if you have these insecurities, start working on these things now. What could it be? Could it be, I don't know, your weight? Maybe you want to lose 15 pounds. Then go ahead and lose that now. Or maybe you feel like you're not beautiful. Well, start asking God to work on those areas. Ask God to show you what is causing these feelings. Is it something from childhood? Is it that ex-husband, that ex-relationship? What is it that's causing me to have all these insecurities, right? All these trust issues. So now God is going to potentially be bringing you a kingdom partnership or kingdom spouse, and you have insecurities. You will ruin that thing the first month of it. So these are things that God needs us to be working on now before he gives us. And he wants me to work on turning off my notifications, right? Okay. So these are things that God wants us to be working on now. So when the door opens, because in due season, these are forever blessings. These are not seasonal blessings. These are forever blessings. So start working on what is causing you to feel insecure, right? Work on the very things that you are requiring to have in a partner. So if you want a rich man, then you don't have to be rich, but at least make sure you're not going to be a burden to him where you coming in there with $100,000 of credit card debt, right? So start working on that stuff. Try to work on your credit and your finances, even if you don't even know, because again, many times in our community, many times we're just not taught certain things, right? Guys, please forgive me. I'm almost finished here, right? But that can no longer be an excuse, right? It will become a point where God will challenge people to stop holding their parents accountable for things that they can do now. Meaning, some people, granted, let's just say you didn't have a father in the household, or your mother was a crackhead, whatever, right? So yes, these are traumas. These are things that will probably cause triggers, maybe for the rest of your life, potentially, who knows, right? But once you get to a certain place, you can no longer keep blaming it on them. You can acknowledge, listen, you messed me up, right? You can acknowledge it. But what are we going to do now? Because now you have the tools. Now you know what you should be doing. Are you going to be 45 years old, still blaming your father for not being there is the reason why you can't hold on a job, because you never experienced what stability is. So now you can't be stable in a job, right? Now, again, that's not just dismissing the fact that they cause some issues. It's just now like, okay, you caused it. I forgive you because now I realize how hard it is really out here. I forgive you because I found out that your own childhood was a certain kind of way, right? I forgive you because you could only teach me what you know. I forgive you for not knowing. I forgive you for your ignorance, right? Ignorance not being a bad word. Ignorance is just not knowing. But now I have to make up for that. Now it may require me to do things double, right? I may have to sit in school for X amount of days because it didn't come easy to me because of whatever reason, right? Or I may have to go to parenting classes because I didn't see healthy parents. So now I may have to be 25 taking parenting classes because I want to be the best mother, right? So there's a lot of things that we could be doing in the physical side of things, right? Ultimately healing, ultimately preparing really is really what it's about. It's about healing in preparation for the thing that you want. So you have to be in alignment and working towards the thing that you want. Now, on the flip side, because I've chatted with a few people too, you have to be careful by not waiting for things to be perfect before you try to make a move. That's the trick of the enemy. It's almost like because you don't feel like you have everything perfect, it's almost like, well, I'm not ready for the door open. I'm not ready for the door to open because I'm not perfect yet. Well, you will never be perfect, first of all. There are no perfect people, right? But you want to be your best self because some of those things will not manifest fully until the door opens. Let's just say you're someone who's always been in toxic relationships and marriages. You never trusted the person, and they always did this to you and they did that to you, and you just never felt safe. So you've always in on edge. You've always lived in fight and flight, and you just always anxieties all over the place, and you just can't feel settled, right? Well, when God brings the person for you, the right person for you, you will automatically feel settled, right? So you may still be struggling with that now, and Satan have you feeling like, well, I'm just not ready because I'm still fighting with, anxiety, and I'm still fighting with such and such, such and such. And truth of the matter is, once that door opens, if you keep walking towards it, when you enter that door, that person is going to be the what's the word? Almost like the piece of the puzzle that you need that's going to cap all those traumatic feelings. But you got to be prepared as much as you could so you can be able to receive healthy love versus going into that thing traumatized, and now you're ruining the one thing that you waited this long for. So I hope that helps you, sis. You guys have a great one. Please forgive me for the distractions of the text messages. I'm going to do better. Pray for me. You guys have a great one. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.